fans, and welcome back to another episode of the happiest hour on earth. Tonight, we are going to be talking about some underrated experiences that you can do in Disneyland that are not rides. So these are things that a lot of people maybe don't know about or just don't really think to do as much because you don't see them or you don't know about them as much. We're just going to be focusing on Disneyland tonight because next week we are actually having a very fun guest on Plan Disney with Jill, who is a trip planner, and she's mostly focused on Walt Disney World. So we're going to be talking a lot about that next week. So we just figured tonight we would kind of focus on Disneyland itself. So we're really excited about this episode, and let's go ahead and dive in.
All right, so we are so excited to jump into this episode. And like Emily said, we are talking about just underrated experiences, not necessarily underrated rides, although some of these kind of feel like rides, but we are going to be focusing on some free experiences that you could do. We in the past had an episode about things you didn't know you could do at Disney, and that was more focused on some crazy paid experiences that you could do. There's some really fun things there, like a jungle wild trek, a private boat fireworks show in Magic Kingdom. That one was a really fun episode, and we just talk about all the crazy things you could do in Disneyland and Walt Disney World. So definitely go check that out after this episode, because it was definitely very exciting. But these are some things that are free and that you could do, and they're just underrated. A lot of times people just walk past them and not really know that they could do them, or maybe they see it, but they're just so focused on the rides that they just never get to experience that. So I am really, really excited to jump into this, and I think we're ready to start with number one.
But first, if you don't follow us on Instagram, then you might have missed that it was Christopher's birthday this week. He hit 30 years old yesterday. We're filming this on Tuesday. Yesterday, Monday the 12th, was his birthday. He turned 30. So wish him a happy birthday if you want to in the comments. But we had a fun time celebrating. We did a little day trip with our son. Just got to do some fun stuff in Sacramento.
Yeah, it was really, really a great time. Yeah, that was yesterday. And, today I'm ready to be back. I'm ready to talk some Disney with our followers and our listeners and everything. And so pumped to be here. But we are going to be jumping in. Yeah. We are saving our favorite for last. So definitely stick around for that. And definitely stick around for some listener suggestions. Now, a lot of our listeners also agreed with some of ours that we already had on our list. So those will just be included in our list. But then we have some stragglers, some that were outside. Quite a few that were outside of our list that you guys will get to hear. And maybe those will resonate with you and you'll want to do those as well. So, but first we're starting in Disneyland, and we had to put the Disneyland Railroad on this list because you hear it go by, but I feel like a lot of people rush into the park and they go towards their rides, and then by that time they're just riding a ton of rides and they don't stop to think about the railroad. And so I think the Disneyland Railroad is an attraction, that really makes you feel close to Walt, right? Like Walt always wanted to be an engineer, and he used to build model trains in his backyard, which is just so fun, like real model trains that you could actually ride. It had a little track and they were moving and they were pretty small, and Walt would just sit on them as a full-grown adult. And it looked so funny, but also so magical at the same time because you could tell his fascination with model trains. It was just so cool to see someone so delighted by his hobby. And so, building a train, it had to happen at Disneyland. And it was actually what he did right before he did that Disney dedication. And you guys know that dedication, right? To all who come to this happy place, right before he gave that, he had done a little train around the park and got off the train and went to Main Street and then gave his dedication. So there's so much Walt embedded into that train station.
Yeah.
Or into that train ride.
I agree. And it's easy to just bypass it because it's not something that you see like as you're walking through the park all the time. It's kind of on the outskirts. So, you know, you can easily just forget about it unless you happen to be in Main Street or, you know, one of the stops and hear it or something. But it really is such a special thing to go on. It kind of almost falls in the ride category, but not exactly. It's kind of its own separate experience, I would say. And it is such a special one. I think we've definitely made it a routine to do it each time we're on a trip. However, this last time we were there, we were attempting to go on it, but we were going to start the train from the Tomorrowland starting point station. And let me just say that is not a great idea. Actually starting anywhere other than the Main Street station is not really a great idea because at the time that we entered the line, it said it was going to be 10 minutes. By the time we were getting towards the front, it had been probably at least a half an hour, if not more, maybe even more. And we, of course, were the last people in the cutoff of the line. So right as that train was about to take off, we got cut off and we were like, so that means we're going to have to wait once again that same amount of time to try to enter the train. So we ended up just skipping it, unfortunately, and just going on the monorail. Which normally was so fun. Which was really fun. Our son had never been on that before, and I think he really loved it. But normally the Disneyland Railroad is a staple, but definitely getting on at Main Street because it's also more empty there.
Yeah, it is because I think a lot of people get on and get off there. But usually when we've done it, it hasn't been a long line to get on. But I would just say that's the best place to start. And then you just ride around the entire park. And not only do you get to see the sights and the beauty of Disneyland, there's also just the really cool tunnels you go through where you get to see a lot of really cool things like the Grand Canyon and the dinosaurs and all of that. And so it's just such a relaxing ride. One thing we would suggest, grab a corn dog or something from the little trolley there on Main Street or any kind of snack.
Or drink or just, coffee.
Yeah, because you could sit down and enjoy your snack, which is fun.
Yeah.
Or you could ride the train and enjoy your snack. And by the time you're done with the snack, maybe you'll be back at the station and you just saw all of Disneyland. It's so great.
It really is such a good experience. It's a nice way to relax and just take in the park and have a snack while you're at it. It's definitely one of our favorite things to do now.
For sure.
But next up on the list, we have the Main Street vehicles. I think we've talked about this a little bit in past episodes, but this is something we did for the very first time, I think 2 trips ago.
Yep.
We didn't get to do it this last time, but it is a very special experience as well. Just getting to ride down Main Street in one of those old vehicles that have been there for so long. I feel like those drivers have been there forever too. I mean, I feel like there's only a couple of them, and it's just so nostalgic and so sweet to get to ride on those vehicles and just go down Main Street. And, you know, I feel like it's something that Disney could have easily done away with at this point. You know, it's probably not one of the more popular things. I mean, it's pretty easy to hop on those vehicles. So there's not like a line or anything, you know, and not a lot of people are waiting to get on there. But it's such a fun thing to do. And I'm so glad that they've kept it around because it really is something special to do.
Yeah. And there's so many different types of vehicles, right? Like there's the horse-drawn, not carriage, but horse-drawn
buggy.
I like that. And then there's like the omnibus and there's the one that we rode for the first time was the little car that has that like special little horn. Oh yes, exactly. That you'll go on. And it's just a fun way. Like I know you could get down Main Street pretty quick if you're trying to go to your special ride that has no line at the time and you just want to get there as quick as possible. But I would just circle back around to Main Street at some point, hop on one of those vehicles, and it's just cute. It's just so magical and so old timey.
By you. It's It's just fun.
It is really fun. And, you've walked Main Street so many times, might as well, hop on an old timey vehicle and it lets you off near the castle, or you could stay on and come back to the front of Main Street. But it is just really, really magical. Really, if they took those away, Main Street wouldn't feel the same.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
You when you walk on Main Street and you see those little cars driving by and you hear the little horns and everything, that really puts you into that old, Marceline, Missouri kind of feel. And so you got to jump on those vehicles.
It's true. And something that I really want to do that we haven't yet, and we've talked about it before, is doing the trolley in California Adventure.
In California Adventure. Yeah.
We've talked about it a couple of times, and it's just something that always slips our minds, but it would probably be a very similar kind of experience going through Buena Vista Street. And then it kind of goes all the way down towards Hollywood Land and through there. And I've always wanted to do that one too. So
I feel like and we've said this many times, but Buena Vista Street really feels like a mirrored, updated version of Main Street. Doesn't mean that it's better, but it is.
Yeah,
it feels more, not really updated, but just newer and fresh, because it was, it came out later, obviously later. But I'm so glad they incorporated a vehicle on Buena Vista Street, because it does kind of give it that same similar feel, and I love that so much.
I do too. I love it.
Do you want to hit us off with the next one too? Because I could talk about the one after that. Which I've been doing a little more.
Yeah. So the next one that we have is doing the Sleeping Beauty walkthrough through the castle, which I've always loved to do. And, it's not something that we do every single time, but it is it's incredible just to be able to be inside the castle.
Yeah.
Just for that fact alone, but it is such a fun experience to get to watch the story of Sleeping Beauty played out in such a creative way. It's not like it's a movie, it's just such a cool way to see the story. And I've always loved doing it. It's always been I think I always used to enjoy doing it like at night. For some reason, it just made it feel really like magical. Being inside the castle at night and a little more spooky. It was just like the perfect vibe to be in there. And I want to incorporate doing it each trip again, because it is one of my favorite things to do for sure. Yeah,
it is really cool. I mean, I think underrated for sure, because not a lot of people know that you could go inside the castle. At Disney World, they have the Cinderella restaurant, Royal Table, I believe. Yeah. And so you could go up there if you have reservations, but with Disneyland, you could just go in. You don't need reservations. And so it's a nice little, I was going to say quaint, but honestly, they updated it, a couple years back, probably like a decade now, a few years in my mind is always like a lot longer, because I'm getting older, like you said, birthday. But no, they have some really cool effects in there. And it's just really cool and awesome to go through the castle.
It doesn't seem to feel like super crowded ever.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been in there, so I don't know how it is these days, but back then it was always kind of chill just to walk through, and there wasn't like, a huge crowd around you or anything. It was just kind of like a chill little activity to do.
Yeah.
And feel some of that Disney magic.
Yeah. It's really magical. So definitely go check that out. If you haven't, even if you have, go through it again. It is very special to be inside the original castle.
It is.
So
it
cool.
Really is.
So next up on our list, we have Pirate Slayer on Tom Sawyer's Island. And so we actually had a follower say this as well. So at Ashley,
I think it's
Ashley, but it has a cool spelling.
Very cool.
I love it. And so she said, exploring the caves and getting away from the crowds makes this a great spot. And so one really cool note is that Tom Sawyer's Island is the only attraction designed 100% by Walt Disney. Which is really cool, because obviously he would, have ideas and he would work with the Imagineers on how to bring it to life. But Walt loved Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. Is that the same right stories?
So, yeah.
I love those stories so much, and he just wanted to create an area of the park where kids could just run around, have some freedom to just kind of explore, you know?
Feel like those kids in the story.
Exactly. And it's so cool that in order to go to Tom Sawyer's Island, I'm just going to call it that, because that's the original name, you cross the rivers of America. So that's an experience in and of itself. But then being able to be on the island, there's so much to explore, so much to do. So if you want to get away from the crowds for a little bit, definitely check it out. It's been a very long time since we have done it. Definitely before our son, definitely before we were married.
Yeah.
So it has been a long time, and that just means that it's so underrated because we're so focused on getting other things done that we don't take time to stop and enjoy Tom Sawyer's Island.
And it's one that, again, you kind of just bypass in your mind because it's not something you see immediately. It's kind of like off in the distance, and you don't think like, oh, I'm gonna go over there. You know, it's not something you think to do all the time. I feel like, at least not for me. But I recall going over there once years and years ago, and I have some photos that I can remember in my memory from that time. But that was the last time, and we had planned on doing it this last time as well. And once again, it just didn't happen. Those Disney days just get so packed, but. Yeah, I want to start doing that because I think especially our son would love getting over there, and I would too. Like it is so like just chill and relaxing, and it's away from the crowd.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool to be on the area where part of Fantasmic is played out, because now you could go down to the stage where Mickey pops out of. And where, Maleficent comes out of and everything. And so that's just really cool to see. So definitely go check it out over there. And we need to check it out again on our next trip. But it is just really, really cool. And it's just so overlooked. I do have to do one little note here too. We have a friend, Robert, if you're listening, you know who you are. He said that the canoes, which is also on the rivers of America, is such a great experience, and he loves it so much. And so that's something we have not done. So super overlooked and underrated. And I would love to do that. There is something on this list that also deals with the rivers of America. I guess that's just a very popular, underrated experience. But the canoes, you're as close to the rivers of America as possible. And we haven't done them, and we need to do them. So next trip, thanks to Robert for giving us that suggestion. We have to do that.
Yes. Yeah. We have a lot apparently that we have to incorporate. It's like we have to take a full day or two to do rides, and then a whole separate day to do all these other experiences that are not rides, because there's so much to do.
Yeah. And honestly, to see the park in new ways brings so much
appreciation.
Yeah. For the little magic that really kind of keeps Disneyland kind of turning and everything. And so, it's all about that little special magic. And so we have to do that. But our next one is similar in a way to Pirate's Lair on Tom Sawyer's Island. Do you want to hit us off with this?
Yeah. Our next one is the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail, which is found in California Adventure. This is a super fun area, kind of similar to Tom Sawyer's Island, I feel like, but not as much of a trek to get to. Yeah, not as secluded, but also never really feels that crowded. So it's kind of just a similar vibe overall. We never used to go before we had our son. Yeah. And that's something that we've begun to experience pretty much each trip. Although I don't think we did this last
We didn't this last trip, but the one before that we did.
Yeah. And he loves it.
It's more if you have kids, right? You don't see a lot of 20-something or childless millennials running along the adventures course. And I don't think there's a lot you could do.
There's not a lot you could do, but if you're someone who gets overstimulated or just needs a break from the crowd or whatever the case is, just wants somewhere peaceful to sit and have a snack or something, it is a great place for that.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So well crafted.
Feels
you
like
feel
you're in the
Grizzly
Peak,
vibe so much there because it's a huge area.
It is huge.
It's actually, there's a lot of different kind of trails you could do. There's a lot of different things to just kind of play with and experience.
Yeah.
And
big slides and ropes courses and
little brother bear aspect in there for the kids.
It's so
like
cool.
the little tire swings. But it's just also a beautiful place to just kind of walk around if you need to destimulate a little bit.
It totally is. I love it.
But yeah, I mean, especially if you have kids, this is a great place to let them kind of run and get their energy out for a little bit, like we always say, because we're big Disney snack people. Bring a Disney snack there, sit down, relax while your kids just running around the little ropes courses and everything, and have a good time.
It is a fun thing to do.
Yeah. So the next one we have here, and this one, we had a lot of listener suggestions for this because it is
a favorite.
It is a favorite, and it is so amazing. So the animation building, in here you'll have the Animation Academy, the Sorcerer's Workshop, Turtle Talk with Crush, but the building itself is just so magical. So we had at Erica Adventures, just a huge supporter of the show, and she's just great. So definitely go follow her. Like we've said in past episodes, just follow all these people, if they're Disney people, Disney pages. But she said it's just so magical in there, and that totally resonates with us. We just like to go in there and just experience the magic. And then we had at Classic Bella. She said just sitting in the Animation Academy, watching the drawings come to life. And that is that's what we do all the time, because
It's the
inside
best.
this building, not only is there amazing air conditioning on a very hot day, but it is designed
Completely
in
surrounded.
like a 360, almost like, circle vision type of experience. Multiple classic and modern Disney movies that they show like the sketches, and then they bring it to life with the final product. But the music and the visuals within this building are just so
incredible.
amazing.
It really, truly is one of my favorite places to hang out in the parks, in California Adventure specifically. It's so relaxing and get to cool off and just soak in every bit of Disney animation, because I don't even know how long each of those, little
Snippets
last, maybe 30 seconds or so, but they go through so many of them, and both Disney and Pixar, and it's just so beautiful to see and watch in front of you and just kind of take a load off. Another place our son absolutely loves. We've spent quite a bit of time in there, and I love it so much.
It's just a good place to relax. But within the animation building, there's the Animation Academy. And so at Just Shano, who just had a birthday recently as well. So shout out Shannon for your birthday. She said it's so much fun to draw the characters at the Animation Academy. And so this is really, really cool. You have an animator there in this building, and you just go back and it's a different character almost like every time. And so you could learn, they teach you how to draw tons of different characters.
Yep.
And then in a very simple way. And so kids can enjoy it. You could enjoy it. Even if you're terrible at drawing, you could come up with something that's pretty decent.
Yeah,
so,
they make it very easy to follow. I've done it a couple of times. It has been a while, but I've drawn, for sure remember Piglet. I can't remember beyond that, but
I think I drew like Simba one time.
Yeah.
Maybe Olaf. I don't know.
It's so fun though. It is such a fun, just random thing to do within the building.
Yeah.
I love it.
Another area of the animation building is the Sorcerer's Workshop. And in here, they used to have 3 sections.
Yeah.
Oh, they used to have 3. Now they have 2. If anyone from Disney, Bob Iger, if you're listening to this, please bring back the 3rd section, which was this amazing Ursula. You pretty much read off some lines and you would watch the scenes from Disney movies back, and it would be your voice. It was the funniest and most amazing thing ever. So please bring that back. I don't know why it's gone, but that was like the best part of the Sorcerer's Workshop.
Another thing that's gone too is the zoetrope. Do you remember that?
Yeah, because I think that's now where you can be on it now. But the zoetrope was so cool.
I only got to see it like one time in my life, and it was so cool to watch. It was
search zoetrope. I don't know how it's spelled. Just like
just experiment.
Yeah. Just do a couple different zoetrope spellings and find it.
It was so
California
cool.
Adventure.
It
So
was
good.
like a Toy Story, really cool.
Showed like
thing.
how animation
Yeah,
is
basically
done.
how it works.
It was so cool.
It's very cool.
But at the Sorcerer's Workshop currently, the first section is this area where you could draw your own cartoons and then put them in like this little spinning wheel, and you could kind of see your animation come to life, which is really fun. But then they also have the Beast Library. And so we had a follower at Lisa Baby, I think. Babiee. I think that's baby. She said that her Beauty and the Beast fan self can hang out there all day. And honestly, it is so magical. And in this room is where you could take your little quiz, figure out which Disney character or which Disney villain you are. And it is just really fun.
So
and
fun.
if you do one and you get a bad character, that's when you like do it again. You're like, I think I did one answer incorrectly, and then you get a really cool character, and you're like, that's the one I'm gonna hold on to forever.
Yeah.
But
So
the workshop the Sorcerer's Workshop is really awesome. And then there's Turtle Talk with Crush, and this is what at Magic King Dad said it was very underrated and amazing. And we found out that Turtle Talk with Crush, like I never knew how they did voices, but it's a voice actor. There's no modulation to sound like Crush. It's just a person who could do a Crush voice, and he interacts with everyone, and and it is so magical and so funny a lot of times. And so it's a great little show, especially if you have kids about like 5 or something. I think
I think it's mainly for kids, I would say. But it is just so fun to sit in there and just kind of watch the interactions of Crush with all these kids.
Yeah, it's funny.
Sometimes older people go in there too, but it's just very entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
Fun. And I would add on to all of this. It's not even a part of the animation building technically.
I know what you're going to say.
But I love going into the store off the page, which is literally connected to the building, but it's its own store. Just attached to it. And it's one of my favorite stores. It has so much Disney art, lots of books, and some like, Christmas ornaments, just like kind of random stuff. But I think they usually have an animator in there.
Yeah.
Maybe not all the time, but there's like specific sections where there's an animator who's like sketching, and you can kind of watch them. It's just really cool. Fun store to be in.
And honestly, it's less of a store than an experience, because it almost kind of feels like a museum, like an art museum, because you see multiple different artists' drawings and paintings on the walls. And so you could just go in there, look at some, move the wall, see some more drawings and art pieces and all that stuff. And I could spend a lot of time in here.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
We've bought a few things. I know for a fact we bought an amazing Disneyland book that we look at often. Our son loves to look through it. I can't remember what it's called at the moment. It's one of the popular ones. And then we've gotten, I think we got the posters. Posters. Yeah.
We have a couple posters in our house. Yeah.
Yeah. We have them hanging up just outside of this room at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's just such cool stuff in that store. I definitely recommend checking it out. And just exploring. It's so fun.
Definitely. So do you want to hit us up with this next one?
Yeah. The next thing would be just soaking in the street atmosphere or the like musical performances that are going on all throughout the parks. It could be anywhere, literally, from the Dapper Dans on Main Street to the pirate quartet outside of Pirates, or just kind of in New Orleans Square. I mean, they're everywhere. I feel like there's musicians just everywhere you go. And
so
in
magical.
Buena Vista Street in California Adventure as well. There's like
the jazz. I forgot what the name. Yeah, but then there's also like the Disneyland band. Like they'll show up in Tomorrowland sometimes, Main Street sometimes.
Yeah.
Just trying to catch those musical performers. It's
because they're always so cool. Amazing. They're incredible. Their voices, their talent with playing instruments is so fun to watch, and they just fit right in perfectly wherever they're placed in the park.
Yes,
it's just so fun to watch. I could sit and watch them all day.
One that I would love to see, because you get a couple in New Orleans Square, but one I would love to see is in Adventureland. kind of like almost an Animal Kingdom. There's a lot of
Oh.
like musical performers in
Would be
Animal Kingdom,
so
like the
good.
Africa portion, probably one on the Asia side too, but we weren't
happened
lucky enough to
catch
see
the
that.
one in
We got the
Africa.
one in Africa. Imagine that in Adventureland would be so cool.
I don't know why
Although
they don't do
Adventureland
that
is
already.
really kind of packed already. But if you're walking by and you hear some music, go over to where it is and just watch their performance. It honestly, yes, it might take 3 minutes out of your day to watch, but honestly, they're
But it's a
so
good 3 minutes to
yeah.
waste, quote unquote.
They are totally incredible and really, but that's what makes Disney extra, right? Like a lot of other places, you know, they do have some things like that, but honestly, Disneyland is the best at doing streetmosphere, as they call it.
Yeah.
So definitely go check that out.
Yeah, I agree. It's such a fun thing to experience in the parks.
Yeah. So speaking of Adventureland, we had one here, the Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. And so we got hit up by at Sam Stringer Photo 360 and at Lulu B Buzzin' Memories, who also said the Enchanted Tiki Room. And this is something we don't do too often as well, and I want to do it more.
I want to as well. It was again planned to do this last time, and we were literally about to go in.
The showtime was just like a little bit. It was gonna take a little bit, and
we needed to do something. I think we were gonna get a Dole Whip or something, and we were like, "Oh, let's do that first, and then we'll go back." And then we didn't, unfortunately. But it is such a fun thing to do, and it again brings back such nostalgia for Walt because he played such a big part in having it there. I mean, there's old photos of him with the birds and stuff, and it's so special to be in there and just think that he, you know, played a part in that show. Yeah,
they were the first audio animatronics ever, and there's so many of them, and it's just such a classic, and it's a whole show. Like it progresses so well. And so, yeah, it is really magical. So take some time, grab a little snack, sit in there and just experience the nostalgia and the, you know, quintessential Disney of Disney feels of the Enchanted Tiki Room.
Yeah, I agree. It's so good. And that brings us to our last suggestion for free underrated Disney experiences in Disneyland. So
this is our favorite.
Our favorite, ultimately. This is also something we've talked about quite a bit over quite a few episodes, but we love to do the Mark Twain Riverboat. Specifically for us, we like to end our trips on the Mark Twain because soaking up the park from that view at the end of the night is such a magical and relaxing and special thing to do at the end of a trip. It's hard to explain, but it has definitely become one of my favorite memories in the park, especially because we've started doing it since having our son. It's just really become a staple in each of our trips. And it's just truly magical. Like just hearing those. I know. I called it like the steam smoke. I think one time I referred to it as like the chugging of the boat, but I don't know if that's the correct term. But the you hear the boat operating and you hear the steam going in and out while you hear, you know, the narrator talking about the different lands that you're seeing. You hear some music, and I remember the first time going on it, and I was like, "This is Disney." Yeah, like this why don't we Disney do magic. This all the time? Because you get to see, and it's at least when we go at night, never crowded. Yeah. And so you get to see, you get to pick your spot, you get to see all of, you know, that perimeter of Disneyland in a very not congested way. You get to look at all the people who are, you know, stuck in the crowds trying to weave in and out, you know, especially like we usually go to the top floor, which you could just stand and look out. But I think one of the bottom floors has seats and everything, but you just get to do why we like to do it the last night that we're there is because it's almost like a way to say farewell to the entire park before we head home. Yeah. And it's in a very intimate and personal way. And there's a lot of things that you see
that you've never even seen before at Disneyland. I mean, you see, there's like animatronics on the outskirts of, the rivers of America. You get to see Galaxy's Edge in a new way, this beautiful waterfall that the train goes over, and a lot of really, really cool experiences. And so, really cool sights and sounds. And so you got to do it. Yeah.
Yes. And another thing that we haven't gotten to do yet, but we know is a lot of people's favorite thing is getting to captain the riverboat.
Yes. Yes.
And this wasn't something that we had written down on here, but we've had a few people say that they've done it or that their kid has done it or something. We've seen some videos of it happening, and it's just so cool. You can, I guess, just go up to the captain's like where
you pilots it. So I think you could ask them like at the front before you even load on, and then they might say, to walk up there and ask once you're up there. But if no one else has asked for it, you could go where they pilot the Mark Twain. And so your kids or you can literally hold onto the steering wheel, turn it, and all that fun stuff. So you get to see
so cool
in an area that hardly anyone ever gets to see.
Yeah. We'll have to do that on our next time. I think.
Our son would freak out. But honestly, this one is a huge one for us. So if you haven't done the Mark Twain Riverboat or haven't in a very long time, I would say do it. And it's so magical. There's not much else to say. Like this last time I wanted to ride it right back again. I wanted to be like, let's just go on it again.
Yeah. And it was especially special for us. And we talked about it before, but I mean, Disneyland makes me emotional all the time, but we both teared up that night because it was going to be our last time being in the park and going on that boat with our son before we have our next baby in a couple of months. And
we started this tradition to end our trips with our son. So we were like, wow, we've done this tradition a couple times with him, and it was the last time we're going to do it, just the three of us.
And it's just so magical and so special getting to we were just there as a family, just looking out at the park.
No one else around. Pretty much. Yeah.
Just soaking it up. And it truly is such a magical experience in the park.
Yeah.
And if you want to be like us, ending your trip that way is the way to do it. I would have to say.
Yeah, same here.
So special.
So magical. And so that concludes our list. We're going to quickly go over some amazing listener suggestions that they gave. So should I kick us off with a few?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right, let's do it. So at jollyholiday _w.leah, that was I said it correctly.
Yeah, you did. You
awesome.
actually did it right.
And so she said the Main Street Cinema that plays the old cartoons. And so I wanted to add this on our list, but we've actually haven't even been on it. Like, get mad at us. I'm sorry. Get mad at us, but still like the video. No, just kidding. Or just comment and be like, yo, you need to go on this so we can do it. But no, it looks so cool. I saw a YouTube video of it. That was one thing that you always just kind of pass, but if you go into the Main Street Cinema, you get to see all these old cartoons that really started it all, right? It all started with a mouse. And so you get to see these old Mickey cartoons that if it weren't for Mickey, Disneyland would not be a thing. So thank you so much, Leah, for that suggestion. We got another one at Jordan the Swan. She said, actually watching the Spider-Man show in DCA. I think a lot of people just kind of walk past it and see him fly, and then you're like, oh, that's cool. But if you sit down and watch, which we did the first time, and you hear Spider-Man talking and doing the stunts before he does his actual leap, and that is incredible. I mean, that is such a sight to behold. And then he comes down the wall. So just catching all that, we totally agree with you, Jordan. That is such a really cool experience.
Agreed.
Yeah. Next up, we have at T1, which is supposed to be Tina. _ Aguilar. And she says the piano player at Golden Horseshoe. And we haven't seen anything at the Golden Horseshoe for a little bit. Because I think during that time that we must not name, they cut out some performances. And I think maybe recently they started bringing them back, but we've seen a couple amazing shows there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, back then it used to be like, didn't they used to do like a full show, and then there was like some fiddlers that would be
Oh
on
my
the
gosh.
roof, and then now I think there's a piano player, and so
There were
anything
shows-
at Golden Horseshoe is amazing.
Yeah, there was stuff that would happen outside of Golden Horseshoe. Like they
Yeah.
would come out and do a full-on like Western show with anyone watching right outside of the restaurant.
Yeah.
And there was so many fun shows to watch there. And we haven't done it in a while, but I love, and I actually am shocked that we didn't put this on our list because Golden Horseshoe is one of
I
my
know.
favorite places to be, and specifically
Oh,
sitting
yeah.
in Walt's box, which is just to the right of the stage. There's on either side of the stage, there's like
Little
they're
booth kind of
booths,
things.
but
Yeah.
they're like up directly next to the stage. So if you sit there, you also have to know that you're probably going to get messed with a little bit by the performers because they like to kind of poke fun at whoever's sitting there.
Yeah.
But
Which we have
we've had
before,
happen in
and
the
they were
past.
messing with us, and it was hysterical.
It is really funny.
so good.
But getting to sit specifically where Walt used to sit in there
Yeah.
is prime.
Yeah.
Directly to the right of the stage. So definitely do that if you haven't yet.
Oh, yeah.
I love Golden Horseshoe.
Yeah, Golden Horseshoe is the best. And quick tip, everybody, if you go upstairs, there are sockets, plug sockets.
Yeah.
So if you need to charge your phone, go upstairs, find a little, charging station.
Get your food,
Outlet.
get a drink, relax
Like I said,
for a
plug
bit.
sockets, not an outlet. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
An
There's an
outlet.
outlet, a regular outlet. Charge your phone, get some food, just chill up there and recharge for the
show.
rest of the day. Yeah. And
great
then we also had at JPez83, and he said meeting Tinkerbell. And so we haven't met Tinkerbell, but it's kind of near Matterhorn and Tomorrowland, kind of in that section. But she has a whole area there, like Pixie Hollow.
Yeah.
And it just looks like a really cool area, and we haven't been there. But the theming is just great because I think a lot of characters, they don't really have their own designated real area that's themed as well. And so Tinkerbell does. So maybe we'll have to meet her sometime.
I know.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, we haven't met Tink, but a lot of times in that area, Peter Pan and Hook and
Yes.
Wendy, I think, are kind of running around meeting people,
Oh.
which we have done before.
Yeah,
But
Peter
not
Pan
Tink
is so
yet.
fun. So fun to meet. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you wanna hit us off with these last couple?
Yeah, we got a couple more. So at It's Lauren Renee, a good friend of ours, said a loud huzzah goes up for the Royal Theater and Fantasy Fair. Cute and properly funny.
Yeah.
I think we did this once actually with this particular friend and the
Yeah.
rest of our friend group and watched the show there. It's kind of like it's Beauty and the Beast, but I think
I think they do Tangled too,
I
I
think
believe.
it's
Yeah.
combined.
No, I think they do depending on the time, I think. they
Oh,
do it.
okay, never
Yeah.
mind. I don't know.
But
what
it's
I'm
just a
thinking.
fun retelling.
Yeah,
with
it's
them.
just a fun little show. It's really cute. So agreed. That is a fun one to
Yeah.
sit and watch if you're in Fantasy Fair.
For sure.
Next up is at We Watch TV podcast.
We just connected with them recently, and I'm really excited to start listening to their podcast because they talk
Yeah.
all things TV. And I know
So
they did an
cool.
Office one, and I love The Office, so
Gonna
gotta
have
watch
to
that.
check that
Yes.
out. But they said being able to walk between two parks so easily. That really is.
they're from Walt Disney World
Yeah.
area, so they said
It is an underrated
It's- yeah.
experience. Just getting to literally walk between parks that quickly, not having to worry about transportation. I agree. Very, very underrated experience.
so nice. Take it for granted,
Yes, we all take it for granted. At CarolynJ.02 said character dining,
We gotta get on
which
this.
I have never done before.
I think I did Goofy's Kitchen when I was a kid, but it was like before the time you remember things, so I don't remember.
And I feel like the prices are kind of like a lot. So we just kind of like overlook it and bypass it. But especially having a kid,
I really
maybe
wanna
we should
do
make
it.
it happen.
We need to.
at some point because getting to be that up close and personal. I
Yeah.
mean, I've seen the interactions that you get to have with them there, and it's so intimate and special with the characters. So yeah, we
got to
to
do it. Yeah, thanks for
You-
sending that in.
I
Now you're
think
gonna.
Goofy's Kitchen.
Now we're going in. Yeah, especially once our number 2 arrives.
Yeah.
It's like we
more
definitely gotta do it.
excuse to go.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Next up, we have at Tinksky, who said, listening to the recording in the alley by the ice cream stand.
It is really fun to go down those alleys, like offshooting from Main Street, and just listening to all the funny stuff that comes out of those.
Yeah.
And also I would add to that, just looking at all the windows on Main Street and
oh my
seeing
gosh.
the names of all
Yeah.
these people who had such a big hand creating Disneyland and all that stuff. So
Agreed.
that's a great one.
Good one.
Yeah.
Next is at Live, Learn, Dream Magic, who said, an ice cream on Main Street. So classic. Definitely agree. I've always loved ice cream. Like, I've always been an ice cream person, but especially getting it from Gibson Girl and hanging out on Main Street is just like an experience in itself.
Yeah.
It's so good. We did that this last time while watching Wondrous Journeys.
Yeah.
And it was so fun.
You got to get some Disney
ice cream on Main Street hits different for sure.
Oh yeah.
You got to do it.
Definitely.
And the last one that we have comes from at Plan Disney with Jill, who we will be having on next week.
Yes.
So fun. We can't wait. She said, just chilling on Main Street, people watching and enjoying the magic.
It can't get better than that.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there because people watching in Disneyland is definitely an experience in itself, and Main Street is the place to do it. Just plopping down on the sidewalk and just watching everyone walk by.
Yeah, the one she suggested too was like the hub, like with the hub grass at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Which I want to go back and just sit there and chill.
So much more space
I think,
in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, so much more space. The one that I think is kind of comparable at Disneyland, but it's also a little more exclusive, is there's a shop on the right as you're walking down Main Street that has like a couple of chairs on a porch at this building.
Yes.
And I always want to go there, but
They're always taken.
And there's these people who I think just right in the morning grab some seats and just sit there and just people watch. And I've always wanted to sit there, and there's always people there.
Yeah.
And I'm not assertive enough to be like, can I sit there, please?
Can I have my drink, please?
I would never do that, but I do want to just like hang
know.
out by there and then just jump on it once they're
I've
off.
never in my life seen that spot empty. I think everyone is always waiting to sit there.
Yeah.
On Main Street. It is the
That
perfect
looks-
spot.
yeah.
Just out of everything, but still able to.
I think there's only
watch
like
it all.
2 chairs.
Yeah, but there's like steps.
Yeah,
so
there's
you
some
can sit on the
steps. So
I
yeah.
think.
Oh, it just looks so fun. So
We'll do it one day.
yeah, definitely. But
Yeah.
that concludes our list for underrated Disneyland experiences. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. There's a lot of magic that can be found within Disneyland and Walt Disney World that you might overlook. And so next week, we're going to have Plan Disney with Jill on. We're going to be talking Walt Disney World because we have a lot of listeners who are from Disneyland side and maybe haven't been to Walt Disney World as much. Even if you've been to Walt Disney World, Jill is going to have some amazing tips for planning your trip to Walt Disney World that I'm really excited to hear because we've only been once and I want to go back again. And I need some knowledge because I know my Disneyland. I don't know my Disney World as much. And so this is going to be just such a fun episode. So definitely tune in next week. But we just got to say we love you. Thank you so much for listening to our show and supporting our show. We are very close to 500 subs on YouTube. So if you're listening, go over to YouTube, be our 500th sub. And we're coming up on some Instagram milestones. Also review milestones. We're almost at 50 reviews on Apple Podcasts. So if you want to help us get there too, go ahead to Apple Podcasts, write something nice and a 5-star review for us. It really helps out our show. But other than that, we are just so thankful, and we can't say that enough. So we love you guys, and we will see you all next week.
Bye, guys.
See ya.